Since 2013, I've been the most attacked public figure in British public life. You've seen some of it, you know, the pictures of milkshakes, etc. But frankly, the British public don't know the half of it. Physical attacks and, of course, verbal threats online. Cars vandalised, cars even written off. Attacks, dangerous attacks on the family home. Throughout all those years, I asked for help from the Home Office. None was ever provided of any kind at all. When I did finally become an MP, they actually removed most of it a year in to doing that job. But the murder of Anne Widdecombe has put everything into a completely new context. And it's why what's...
Well, there you go. This is GB News Originals. I'm Emily Carver. Please do give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And do leave a comment. Let me know what you think.
Polanski, the leader of the Green Party, did yesterday in posting on Instagram we're only making plans for Nigel with a guillotine is nothing less than incitement. I have reported this to the Metropolitan Police. Can you imagine if I'd said something as insightful as that? I mean, goodness me, I'd be in handcuffs as we speak. I've had no apology from Polanski. The Met Police tell me they're dealing with the case. But frankly, if people want to criticise me for having been given money to make sure I'm safe for the rest of their lives, well, they can criticise all they like. I explain this and more.
Okay, welcome back. Well, look, obviously you will all be aware that the big news, one of the big news stories anyway, over the last couple of days has been the Zach Polanski issue when it comes to him reposting that picture of a bloke wearing a shirt with a guillotine on it, and we're only making plans for Nigel. Nigel has reported him to the police. Anyway, Zach Polanski appeared on the BBC about half an hour ago. I'm going to play you a couple of clips of what he had to say. He's refused to apologise for that social media post on Instagram. Here's what he had to say.
But it's an inadvertent mistake, and so I think the amount that it's been reported, particularly by press that are owned by billionaires who often attack me, I talk a lot...
Come on.
Well, no.
Come on. Any leader of a political party in this country who shares a post like that is going to have reports and stories and conversations about them. You know that.
Well, can I...
Do you want to take this opportunity to apologise to Nigel Farage?
Well, if I'd done it deliberately, I'd be apologising. But because this was a mistake, I think the important thing is that I point out it's a mistake, that I also make sure that I condemn political violence. And also, crucially, I make a commitment to be better on my social media.
OK. Do you want to apologise then or not?
No. The reason for that is because Nigel Farage, when I posted this, or when the person posted it, it got less than 1,000 likes. Nigel Farage then took it, cropped it, so it made it look like I posted it, which I think was fundamentally dishonest. It's now had 3.2 million views. So actually, this whole conversation has been seen more because Nigel Farage, the Yusuf, and I think Richard Tice posted it. So I'm accepting my responsibility in that I shouldn't have accepted that collaboration. I'm accepting that we all need to condemn political violence.
OK, a couple of things there before we play the next clip. Freudian slip from Walter Mitty himself there, saying when I posted it initially and then backtracking on that. He also had a little go about dishonesty, which is interesting from a bloke, of course, who's got a pretty shoddy relationship with the truth. You just have to ask the Red Cross, the Ministry of Justice, the Electoral Register, whoever owns the houseboat, or indeed the Hypnotherapy Council about all of that. But there you go. He's also tried to blame the amplification on it on Nigel Farage, Zia Yusuf and Richard Tice, claiming that at the point that it was posted, it only had 1,000 likes, but they amplified it. Do you not seem to remember that excuse not working for Lucy Connolly? When she posted something and deleted it, and at the point that she'd actually deleted it, it didn't have that many views, but then, of course, it went viral and it was amplified by the left, and she ended up getting sentenced to 31 months in prison. But he also claimed he didn't read all of the images of the post before agreeing to share it and accepted some responsibility for it. Here it is.
But on behalf of you, your party said last night, once this image was brought to Zach's attention, he immediately unshared the post. He unequivocally does not support this type of dangerous message. You're accepting it was dangerous,
yes.
And yet you won't apologise.
I accept it's a dangerous message that I shared inadvertently, and I've corrected that immediately.
But you won't apologise for sharing that dangerous message?
Well, as I said, again, if Nigel Farage wants to apologise for all the times that he's put other people in danger, then I'll be happy to make an apology.
Right. So, OK.
What do we make of that?
Moron, isn't he?
Yeah, Victoria Derbyshire can't even believe her luck, really, with this awful interview, this car crash, that shows him for the grifter that he is, right?
Bizarre logic. Like, I murdered someone the other day, right? And it would have been fine had they not been discovered. You know what I mean? That is the logic. You know, it would have been absolutely fine if no one had seen it. When only 1,000 people saw it, it was fine. It was only when it was amplified by the people who realised that it was grossly wrong that it's their fault for amplifying it. That is such weird logic.
Yeah, and also what I really take offence at is his deflection onto, oh, well, all the other times that Nigel Farage has done things, right? And I'd imagine that with his friends now, he's saying, well, why do I have to justify myself when the enemy, as he would see it, get to do all these other things and get away with it? Well, where are your principles, mate? If you share a dangerous message, if you think they share a dangerous message and don't apologise for it, fine. But if you share a dangerous message and don't apologise for it, that makes you just as bad.
Yeah,
It's such
absolutely.
a warped logic, isn't it? It's such a warped logic that if you said some
Farage says Britain's police have become the woke wing of the state, and he's comparing us to communist Russia, and he's comparing us to communist Russia. Something strange is happening in Britain. Knock, knock. Who's there? Not a neighbour, not a delivery driver. It's the police, turning up at your door because of something you posted online. Sounds dramatic? Nigel Farage doesn't think so. He thinks it's becoming normal, and he's furious about it. Welcome back to Britain Underneath, the channel that digs past the headlines and gets to what's actually going on in this country. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because what we're about to unpack today is the kind of story that splits a nation down the middle, and you'll want to be part of the conversation. All right. Let's dive in. Nigel Farage, the leader of Reform UK, has just made one of his boldest claims yet. He says British policing has been captured by what he calls a lefty ideology, a culture so tilted, he argues, that officers are now more interested in policing opinions than policing crime. And to make his point land harder, he didn't compare Britain to some minor bureaucratic mishap. He compared it to communist China. He compared it to Russia. Strong words. The kind of words that either make you nod along or make you raise an eyebrow. Either way, you're listening. That's the Farage effect. Here's the backstory, because context matters. A man was photographed wearing a T-shirt with a guillotine on it, alongside the phrase, "We're only making plans for Nigel." A clear, unmistakable reference to Farage himself. Green Party leader Zach Polanski shared that photo on social media. Now, imagery of a guillotine next to a politician's name isn't exactly subtle. It's the kind of thing that, depending on who you ask, ranges from dark humour to a genuine threat. Polanski later said it was an inadvertent mistake, but notably, he did not apologise. And here's the twist that's really lit the fuse. The Metropolitan Police looked at the whole thing and decided the evidential bar to act simply hadn't been met. No action, no visit, no consequence. Now pause on that for a second, because this is where Farage's argument really sharpens. He's not just annoyed that nothing happened to Polanski. He's making a bigger claim, that if the roles were reversed, if Farage himself had shared something like that about a rival politician, the police would have been on his doorstep before the coffee got cold. His words, almost exactly, "I promise you, the evidential bar would be met." That's not just a complaint, that's an accusation of a double standard baked into the system itself. If you're finding this as gripping as we are, do us a favour. Smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because Britain Underneath breaks these stories down before anyone else does, and you don't want to miss what's coming next in this one. So, what's Farage actually diagnosing here? He's calling it two-tier policing, a phrase that's become something of a rallying cry in certain political circles over the past couple of years. The idea is simple, even if the reality is complicated, that the police apply different standards depending on whose side of the political spectrum you're standing on. Crack a joke about a guillotine and a right-leaning politician's name, and maybe you get a pass. Say something similarly provocative from the other direction, and suddenly the evidential bar isn't so high after all. True or not, this is the perception Farage says is spreading through the country, and perception, in politics, has a habit of becoming its own kind of reality.
But here's where Farage does something interesting. He doesn't blame the officers on the ground, not the constables walking the beat, not the detectives working cases late into the night. His target is higher up the chain. The fish rots from the head down, he said. A brutal little phrase, but a memorable one. His argument is that police leadership, the top brass, the commissioners and chiefs setting policy and tone, have let a particular worldview seep into how modern policing operates. And according to Farage, most rank-and-file officers aren't thrilled about it either. He describes them as being in despair over what they're being asked to prioritise, caught between old-fashioned crime-fighting instincts and a leadership culture he says has drifted somewhere else entirely. It's a clever move, politically speaking. Criticise the institution without alienating the people who actually wear the uniform. And it's not just rhetoric. Farage pointed to a real-world result to back up his argument. Colin Sutton, a former detective famous for leading the investigation that finally caught the man who murdered 13-year-old Millie Dowler, was recently elected as a Reform UK Police and Crime Commissioner in Norfolk. For Farage, that's proof the public wants something different, a return to old-school, evidence-first, crime-focused policing, not what he sees as ideology dressed up as public safety. Quick reminder before we push further into this. If this kind of unfiltered breakdown of British politics is your thing, Britain Underneath is where you need to be. Subscribe now, because we're only just getting started, and there's plenty more where this came from. Now, Farage didn't stop at policing. He pivoted straight into one of Britain's other simmering crises: prisons. Overcrowded, expensive, and, according to Farage, part of the reason dangerous offenders keep getting released early. His solution? Ship foreign national prisoners overseas to serve their sentences in other countries. He laid out the numbers plainly. Roughly 10,800 foreign prisoners currently sitting in British jails. His proposal is straightforward on paper. Deport them back to their home countries where possible, or, where that's not an option, strike deals with third-party nations willing to take them. The logic, as Farage frames it, is twofold. First, it frees up desperately needed prison space here at home. Second, it saves an enormous amount of taxpayer money, because keeping someone incarcerated in the UK is, in his words, extremely expensive. And he didn't stop there either. Drawing a comparison to the emergency Nightingale hospitals built during the pandemic, those rapidly constructed facilities designed to handle overflow when the NHS was buckling under pressure, Farage is now calling for something similar in the prison system. Temporary, fast-built facilities designed purely to relieve overcrowding, an emergency response approach to a crisis he believes has been ignored for far too long. Take all of this together, and what you get is a picture Farage wants painted very clearly in the public's mind. A Britain where institutions, the police, the prison system, have drifted away from their core purpose, distracted by ideology on one hand and buckling under practical failure on the other. Whether you agree with his diagnosis or not, there's no denying the story he's telling is a compelling one, and it's resonating with a lot of people right now.
Before we wrap up, one more moment to say it properly. If you've made it this far, you clearly care about where this country is actually headed, not just the sanitised version you get everywhere else. That's exactly what Britain Underneath exists for. So take a breath, stay informed, and hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps this channel keep doing what it does. Britain is having a very loud conversation with itself right now about fairness, about policing, about justice, about who gets protected and who gets punished. This story is far from over, and there's a lot more beneath the surface than what made the headlines today. So stick around, keep watching, and we'll see you in the next one, right here on Britain Underneath.